Greetings, fellow investigators, and welcome back to our video podcast, Into the Darkness, where my friends and I play the Call of Cthulhu role-playing game. I'm your host, Tom Rayleigh. The campaign is Horror on the Orient Express, and it's available from Chaosium. I am the Keeper of the Secrets, and this is episode 27. Our recap will be given by Stuart Lively as his character, Thurston Thursby III. So without any further delay, let's continue our journey into the darkness. Stu?
Thanks, Tom. From my awe-inspiring journal. In the dreamlands, we were all present for Prince Nimbus's funeral services. Afterwards, there was a grand feast attended by King Karanis, his entourage, and everyone else, except Madame Bonneval. After that, the king heard arguments from both sides, the Sarnathians, represented reluctantly by Gunther Block, and the Ibians, represented by Dr. Kurz and Dr. Neruda. The king leaned in favor of the Ibians, asking the Sarnathians to relinquish the idol of Otharok, which the Sarnathians insincerely agreed to. Next was the trial of Prince Nimbus's murder. Cat's state, Arthurian law requires whomever hurts a cat is guilty and must be punished. Miranamur, who stands the greatest punishment for such a crime, is in great distress and extremely remorseful for what he was forced to do while he was not himself. Madame Bonneval is at this trial as well, and the court acknowledged that she is in a conflict with a great darkness that has brought this about. The king assigns 2 of his knights to stay behind and escort Madame Bonneval to make sure she throws her hatred of the dark sorcerer into the Sea of Nodens to try and end this madness that can only end in more chaos and destruction if continued. Later, as we approach the Sea of Nodens, it becomes clear that Mackenzie is not going through with throwing his vert into it and plans to step off the platform just before reaching there. But he does have a moment, pulls back and thinks, we're not sure what he may do. The rest of my companions, Gunther Block, Dr. Kurz, and Dr. Neruda, all plan on going through with throwing their vert into the sea, freeing themselves of their individual troubles. However, my good friend Dorian, the esteemed Dr. Dabrowski, is planning on stepping off and not going through with it. I get off the train as well, with the same reservations. After some deep soul searching, I decide to step back onto the train and carry through with it once and for all. And we all try dearly to persuade Dr. Dabrowski to do the same. We think we might have persuaded him.
Tom, we cannot hear you.
All right. Once you guys had made that resolution, the train departs from Saranian and starts to head across the water towards the crystal pillars. I described some of this before, and as you approach the cataract dropping into the Gulf of Nodens, the Mimi vaults into the sky, and she goes out over the mist, over the pillars, and into the void. The stars come out. The land behind you begins to fade away. But up ahead of the train, dark cloud begins to form. Thunder can be heard in the distance, and the clouds form themselves into a gigantic black skull with glowing red eyes. Obviously, the sorcerer is still up to his old tricks, and you are heading in that direction.
Henri?
Oui, monsieur. I see it. We may be in for some trouble. I don't believe that he can do anything to us, but I do not know the extent of his power at this point.
Did,
Go ahead.
His eyes are like distant stars, as though he has prepared this long ago.
It may be an illusion, but we shall stand vigilant and take care. At that point, Karakov, who's also present, suddenly falls down to one knee, grabbing the sides of his head. And he's like, "My God, can't you hear it? Can't you hear them?"
I go to Karakov and I put my hand on his shoulder, and it's like it's only in your head. Fight back. Don't give in to the guilt.
He looks both upset and crazed at the moment. He grabs a hold of you, Gunter, and he says, No, it's much worse at this point. Everybody do listen rolls.
006.
Dang it.
44 is a regular
16.
success.
Fail.
Hard success.
Okay. Well, perhaps Gunter, because he's holding on to you at the moment and you're trying to calm him, you don't hear it. But the others, you start to hear a noise, and it does sound like distant gunfire coming mostly from behind the train.
What is going on?
Yeah, can I kind of poke my head out from the observation deck and sort of look back to maybe spot something?
You
Peter,
look
what do you
back,
see?
and there is a kind of darkness welling up out of the Gulf of Noden, so down from below, and there seem to be things inside of it. And a moment later, you see that there are horses racing in your direction, mounted by what look like Russian Cossacks, waving their swords in the air.
Henry, is this normal?
Henry looks also, and he's Sacre bleu, I don't understand. Monsieur Karakov seems to be manifesting his fears in reality. And as you're watching, you can see these soldiers getting closer and closer to the train, like train robbers in the Old West, riding along the side of the train, coming forward and swinging there. Karakov becomes extremely agitated.
Karakov, you've got to calm down. You need to focus on everything good. You need to block out this badness, this evil in your head. You cannot let it consume you.
No. It's time. They're coming for me.
No, do not fight it, Karakov.
At this point, Thurston, you notice something else that's kind of interesting. Each of the Cossacks has stamped into his forehead an English pound sign.
Oh my God!
A dollar for every, or a pound for every weapon that for every person that was murdered during the war.
Oh my God!
You need to stop reliving that part. It's a painful part of you. I understand I have many painful aspects of my life, but you need to fight it, or it's going to harm everyone on this train. Your dreams are going to harm you. You have to fight it. You are strong.
Dabrowski, do a persuade roll or a psychoanalysis if you have it.
I do have psychoanalysis because my secondary is psychology, as my father was a psychologist.
The rest of you, well, except for Theodore who's looking back, the rest of you do spot hiddens.
27, which is a success.
He starts to calm down, and as he's calming down, one of these Cossack things catches up to the observation platform, leaps up onto it, swinging his sword. And since Thursby is right there, it swings the sword, but the sword just passes through Thursby like it's a ghost.
Oh,
in fact, the color and reality of the Cossack begins to sort of fade a little as you are telling Karakov to
Come on,
as you're
Karakov,
persuading him.
keep going. Keep
How do the rest of you do on your spot
resisting.
hiddens?
I got a hard.
Regular.
Okay. Oh, well, Dr. Roland, then you're looking around in other directions as well. And you notice that in the opposite direction, coming from the cloud thing, you at first you see little dots in the air that you think are birds or something. But as you're looking at them, they're much, much larger than birds. You're almost thinking like dragons.
Yeah.
And they're still a long, long way off. But
Henri, is there some way that Mimi can circle like the Western wagon train for defense?
I'm not sure that that would actually provide any defense. If we can plow through it, we should be able to outrun it.
But the sorcerer is sending something from ahead as well. I think if it is
he's looking and he squints his eyes as he's sort of staring up at them, and he says, "My God, Shantax."
This is a nightmare thing.
It's like an elephant-sized bird.
Oh my. Mimi, can you produce anti-aircraft batteries on either side of the train?
She can't. Swords is about. She can't do guns or anything like that.
Maybe large
ballistas.
large ballistas.
Catapults.
She starts to work on that at some point. The train starts lurching forward. Obviously, Henri is pushing it faster. The Cossacks, the ghost Cossacks, begin to fall back, but more undead soldiers seem to be rising up out of the abyss. And Theodore, what you notice now is that a number of them have these very large, very ornate cannons, which they are pointing towards the train.
Our area. Hit the deck! Cannons! Cannonade!
Oh, if the swords didn't hurt you, hopefully their cannonballs are just as ethereal.
Yeah. Emphasis on the hopefully part.
Hopefully, but do they look like they are Karakov manifestation?
Yeah.
Or do they look different?
They're still, Russian soldiers, all the dead Russian soldiers
Karakov.
rising up.
Karakov, you have to resist. The whole point of this journey is you throwing away that pain. I know I'm a bit hypocritical because I literally nearly walked off the train.
My guilt. If I throw my guilt off, then they won't.
Whoa.
No. No.
It's not the guilt. It's without the guilt, what will stop you from perpetuating this harm in the future?
Need the guilt.
Can do another persuade or psychoanalysis roll.
Guiltiness is part of
99.
You have to feel guilt.
How do you do, Dorian?
I will roll now. I didn't. 36, which if I spend a luck, I pass my psychoanalysis.
Okay.
So I will spend a luck.
He is frightened by Gabriel, but at the same time, he's sort of clinging to you. The train continues to lurch forward, and the Cossacks with the cannons begin to fall behind. They do fire a few times, and a few of the volleys hit parts of the building, the structure above you, and they do damage.
Gee.
But they don't do as much damage as you think that a cannonball would do.
I lean over to who's the closest doctor to me that Well, actually, Dr. Kurz, because Dorian, you're right next to him. Dr. Kurz, what do you think? What do you think about maybe just knocking him unconscious? Do you think that might break his concentration, which might be drawing them here?
Can you be unconscious when you're unconscious?
Good point.
It's worth some sort of. I mean, otherwise, if Dorian can't convince him out of this, he's just going to keep pulling them with his thoughts.
Perhaps if we turn him around and he sees the elephants flying down from a demon in the sky, he will be less concerned about his past transgressions. Look, man, we have something to fear. And grab him and spin him around.
Hang on, Karkov, it isn't. You need to focus. You're,
Yes, just
Right.
focus on those things.
Gunter, do you want to try persuading or
Sure, yeah.
psychoanalysis if you have it?
No,
Magic
that. Yeah, magic trick. Watch, I'll make elephants appear in the sky. There they are. God dang, my dice are terrible. No.
Even more desperately, he's clinging on to Dorian, and but he's
Careful.
listening to you all. The next thing that happens is as if the Gulf itself were the ocean, something begins to rise up out of it, and it seems almost like a steampunk nightmare, but you suddenly realize that there is a huge submarine that is rising up out of the Gulf towards you, and it's got its cannons pointed at the train, but it's kind of unsubstantial. It's not as strong a vision as the earlier ones. You're getting to Karakov. You're convincing him. He needs to find another way to get rid of his guilt other than denying it.
Yeah, you need to these energies. You devoted so much of your life to accumulating capital at the expense of the lives of others, perpetuating violence. You need to redirect those energies in your life to something more productive, using your fortune for charity, trying to set things right, promoting peace.
He looks up at you and he starts to cry. And as he begins to cry, the visions of the dead fade away. They fall back down into the Gulf. But now, what you obviously see as dragon-sized monsters flying in the sky, 6 of them in all, heading in the direction of the train. And the one in the lead seems to have the black sorcerer riding on its back. They are approaching. They'll be here in another round.
Is it ethical or not to take this Madame Bonneval and throw her up at this thing?
I was just thinking the same thing, Dr. Kurz.
And we can't sacrifice.
No, this is her problem. It's gotten Prince Nimbus killed. Her
Perhaps, but we don't have the time at the moment. They'll be upon us in a second.
What are the 2 knights doing?
Give me a spear, then, I guess, Mimi.
We need her to confront. We need her to confront it. We don't just pass her off. We need her to confront her, the issues and problems she caused.
Theodore, what did you say a moment ago?
What are the 2 knights doing? What are their reactions to this?
One of the knights got off with the king back in Serenian.
Oh, so just one.
The other one is actually guarding her, if you recall.
Yeah. Oh, so they're not present. Okay.
But something else happens at this point. Obviously, the train has been lurching from side to side and changing speed and so forth. At first, one of the panels in the floor opens and then another one does. And the Ibians come up to see what's going on. And they they are quite alarmed, but they seem to stick close to you guys. The other one that opens is Guillaume, the ghoul, who he comes running up and realizes that there's something going on. And he runs to the edge and looks up and he says, "Ah, we must defend the train."
Yes. How? You're a soldier.
He pulls out a saber and he makes this weird noise. It's kind of mewing noise. And when he does, the train, suddenly you feel the train sort of vibrate a little. And it seems like the train might be slowing just a bit. But coming through the kitchen, through the dining hall and onto the observation platform are the two night gaunts that were driving the train. And he just immediately runs up to one of them, throws his arms up, grabs a hold of it, and off the train they go. And him swinging his sword in the air. "Come, my friends, vive la France!"
Go get him, Guillaume.
Yeah.
Well, I'll ask Mimi to hand me a spear.
Yes, hand me one too, Mimi.
Oh yeah, get my gladius back.
She in fact hands you the things you need, but you notice a couple of things. You notice that Mimi's a little sluggish.
Yeah.
In doing this.
Oh, Mimi took damage from that cannonade. You mentioned that Mimi took some damage.
When you look over at Henry, he also looks just a little disoriented.
It's the sorcerer. Remember before he tried to take over Henri and Mimi. He could be affecting them.
Well, it doesn't look like that. It's what Thurston said. The train itself was partly damaged, so he is the train. The train is him. Just
Also, the hellish things that feed Mimi are not stoking the fire. Perhaps we should replace them.
Henry.
I was thinking Dr. Curse.
Is Henri available?
yeah. I mean, he's like, "Do not worry, messieurs. We must protect the train. She will not allow them on board." But
You seem strained. You seem depleted. Is there anything we can help you with to regain your sorts?
the train, like everything in the dreamlands, is made of vert. You can affect it with your minds.
I started using my dream skills I made when I made my totem to try and imagine fixing Mimi's injuries or damage.
Right with you. I
Go ahead.
love that.
Yeah.
I am also with you.
Yeah. Positive vibes.
Oh, I
Neat.
passed.
Mhm.
19 out of 27.
Whoa.
However, 82 does not help you. I do apologize.
7. Oh, it could be a hard if I spin 3. Does that make a difference?
It won't make a difference. You find yourselves able to almost regrow the parts of the palace that are breaking. Meanwhile, these things are getting much closer. What else? Karakov has calmed down and he's realizing that now everybody's in distress. So maybe he would do better to help instead of think about himself. Still, no sign from Madame Bonneval. Jusha shows up, wondering what's going on. And she's surprisingly, we have to protect Henry. I've known Henry for a long time. This is we can't let this thing. And she says, I don't think that the wizard can directly harm the train, but I think those Shantaks might be able to. Those are creatures of the dreamlands.
Yes.
Shusha, if you know of this Shantak, what drives it? And how can it be fended off?
I don't know. They're just mindless nightmare creatures. He must be controlling them the way he controls others. Otherwise, they're just, if you could break the control, they would just fly away.
I would like a bright source of light. Is there anything?
You can try to craft something.
Yeah, I'm trying to dream a mirror that gives off more light than it takes in. 8 points is, yeah, why not? I want a mirror that gives off light that I can blind them with.
Okay.
Fend them off.
Jusha says, I think that we might do better up above. And you see her go over and start to climb. And as she does, Mimi grabs a hold of her and lifts her up on top of the train.
I shall follow.
Is the other night gaunt still there?
Yes.
I would like to follow Guillaume's example and take my spear and
Okay.
take to the skies.
It's an interesting sensation because you don't have to do much grabbing a hold of. It grabs a hold of you as you come up to it, and it makes no noise. It's completely silent. It has no face, but it seems to understand your thoughts. So it vaults off like a bird, like a hawk leaping off the train with you on board it.
There were only 2 night gaunts?
Yeah, there's
Well,
just 2.
Guillaume.
All of a sudden, the cats join you. And the cats are furious because they can sense the evil. And they start swarming all up over the train and up onto the top of the train. And the Ibians also climb themselves up onto the top of the train. Do a listen roll.
Yes, I wonder what the Sarmathians are up to.
This will be a fight for the ages.
The Sarnathians got off in Serenian.
Oh, that's right.
97 will not. I do not hear a single thing.
2 points. I will spend the luck.
Well, actually, Gabriel, you're off. You're not on the train.
Oh,
at
I'm
this
not
point,
on
so,
the train.
yeah.
This
I
was a
passed.
listen?
Yeah.
I just missed it. Yeah.
I hear it. I hear it
Okay.
loud and clear.
What you hear, Dr. Roland, Dr. Kurz, is you can hear the voice of Moronimer inside the train saying, he's here. Let me out. I'll kill the son of a bitch.
Mimi, Henri, can you release the prisoner?
Can we trust him, even though he's been controlled by that dark sorcerer before?
I don't think he even had a voice when he was under the control before. I think he is enraged. That could be wrong.
I think it's a worthy risk. I mean, the wizard is busy controlling those flying elephants.
Good point. Let's hope that's where his focus is.
Okay. You can see Henry is regaining his composure, and he says, yes, I'll release him like this. And you see the pit open up, and Moronimer comes out first in his normal form. But as he comes out, he transforms into that sort of crystal spider thing. And once again, he goes up onto the train, swinging his strange spiky arms. So what are you guys going to do? Are you guys going to climb up? Karakov is also willing. He's going to get out his saber.
I'll search for Mimi's. Hopefully, Mimi has completed a couple ballista units or harpoon units, and I'll try to, if one's available, I will man that and prepare to try to shoot them off.
I will be
Theodore,
reasonable.
as you climb up, you can see where she's attempting to form them. And you see that it's taking her a great deal of effort. You also realize that it's not going together quite as good as it should. And the train is slowing down in the air.
If I stand or sit, kneel next to it, just lay my hands on the creation and put all my knowledge of how to create that, may I try helping Mimi?
Sure.
What would that entail?
Dreamcraft.
Oh, Dreamcraft. Oh, no. Well, at least it just went up a little bit just before the game. Come on, please be low. Oh, no, it's not.
Okay. But you realize that there is something wrong with Mimi. I think you guys said it earlier.
Yeah, I'm going to, instead of climbing up, I'm going to go to where the engine would be, like that we saw earlier.
All right. So you run through the dining hall, through the kitchen, into the foregone. And as you enter the foregone, the box that Karakov had placed there with the rats inside of it, it seems to have changed a little bit. It doesn't seem to be so noisy as it was before. You run past it and you go into the tender, which, as you recall, has like a walkway around the sides of it. And there is Mimi's mouth and a couple of pairs of shovels, which you need to literally cut into the one animal and toss it into the other. I would like you to do a sand roll.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's a fail.
Okay, so it's gross and disturbing. You've got to literally stand right on its back while you're doing it, and it's kind of
it's all
sticky
squishy
and gooey and squishy. Yeah.
Is it yelling in pain?
No, not at all. But
good.
once you start doing that, there is a definite change. The train begins to pick up speed once again. All right. There is a call. You think it's from Guillaume again, that strange tittering sort of noise. And as you look down, more night gaunts start flying up out of the abyss. There is a noise from down below, and it's not in a human voice, and it's not even sound, as it were, but you get the distinct, solid impression that Nodens is pissed off that somebody is attacking the train, because he has a deal with Henry. So he is sending more night gaunts to assist in the battle. At this point, the Shantax arrive. They swoop down in an attempt to grab a hold of part of Mimi or smash some of the palace. But they are countered by both the Ibians and the cats. The cats literally fling themselves off of Mimi onto the Shantax with their claws, and they're biting and they're scratching and they're screeching. The Ibians do the same, though less effectively. They do have big claws, but they're kind of made out of goo and rubber. So you start to see a few of them fall loose and fall down into the abyss and vanish out of sight as they fall. Guillaume slashes at the birds as they're flying, which causes them to buck and wheel to the sides. Jusha, you notice that what she had as her totem was a little ballerina. Suddenly, the ballerina in her hand grows to like 10 feet high, and she seems to be able to wield it like a club. And as these things come by, she's swinging at them and attempting to hit them. But one of the Shantax hits her and knocks her back. and she seems to be somewhat injured at that point. What are the rest of you guys doing? Dr. Gabriel, you can.
I'm in the air with my spear. I'm gonna go poke at the wizard.
Okay.
I run to Zusha's aid because I am
Okay.
free at the moment. So
I'm still
Jason.
shoveling away.
Okay.
And I'm trying to use this mirror light to confuse or disorder the Shantak.
That's exactly what it does. It seems to reflect the light from the stars and the planets around you and focus them on the Shantaks. And it's the equivalent of like shining a laser beam into the thing's eye. So it hits its eyes and it immediately wheels to the side and breaks off its attack, but it flies back around to make another attack. And you can see that the Shantaks, as hideous as they are, which you should probably all do sanity rolls for just seeing them, their eyes are red like the wizards. So you think they're under mental control.
34 is the pass on sanity.
Okay.
Man.
succeed with 76.
I'll say you'll take 1 point if you if you pass, and 1d4 if you fail.
1d4 coming up.
Do I lose any for my sanity fail for shoveling flesh?
You can do just two points.
Just
of
two. Okay.
sanity
I lose.
damage.
I lose 2 points.
Okay.
What is there any more? You mentioned night gaunts. More came up to assist. Do any of them come nearby for me to try?
Yes,
to mount
you
one?
seem to be able to just think that you want them to come near, and they will.
Yeah, I cannot let my friend Dr. Neruda be out there by himself. Well, with a ghoul, but still. He can have his right flank covered by a ghoul, but his left flank will be covered by none other than myself.
Thing is, I could go back, but I want to help Zusha as
Okay.
I am a medically trained.
Dorian, you run over to her, and she's bleeding, but she's still angry. It's at that point. Well, let's go around. Dr. Neruda, why don't you go ahead and we'll call it, what should we call it? Brawl.
$69 is not a pass.
Okay. Yeah, as you go towards the wizard, the Shantak flaps its wings and just blows to the side, almost knocks you off the night gaunt with the blast of its wings. It's like a hurricane. Theodore, you now are airborne. What are you going to do?
My goal is to try to close up the gap between myself and Dr. Neruda and fly in tight formation to assist him and then attack from there. But I think there's quite a distance right now.
Okay. Well, these things now have spread out and they're coming from all different angles towards the the train.
Then I'll just take the closest one and
Okay.
try to go after it. Preferably one that's more focused on the train, so my attack might be more surprising to it. And there's a miss. Let's try. Let's see. Does it see me coming at all?
Well, they have like 5 eyes on each side of their heads, so it probably does.
Oh, okay. All right. So I'm going to spend 4 luck to make this a success then.
Okay. So you swing, or you what do you have? You have a gladius.
Yeah.
Yeah. You swing your gladius and you clip one of its wings,
Aha!
which, since it's the size of a dragon, an elephant, it hurts it. You get a spattering of like blue blood on you,
Nice.
but it wheels and it turns and it breaks off its attack in that moment. You also see for that moment that its eyes change color for
Ooh,
just a split second, and then they go back to red.
interesting.
Um,
Does the damage to the wing seem to hinder its flying at all, or is it negligible?
it's not as it's almost negligible, the damage done. Dr. Roland.
The great dark cloud with the stars for eyes that is the demon. Is it static in this, or is it moving, or is
It
it
seems
solid?
to be static. though now it's more manifested in the actual sorcerer who's on the back of the Shantak.
Yeah. Well, I think I need to try to focus my mirror onto that figure, and if he is distracted, then his control will be lessened.
Okay.
And if I don't, I hit the Shantak, maybe he's hiding and it has a difficulty.
I would like you to do a power roll.
A hard success.
As you look in that direction and you're going to make your attempt, you suddenly realize that there is a force trying to push its way into your head. The eyes of the sorcerer seem to be the way that it controls people. And when you're looking directly at them, attempting to focus this, you feel like it's trying to take you over, but you passed your, so you pull away from it and realize that you don't want to look directly at the thing in the sky. It seems to be a part of its power. This goes on for a few minutes. This thing is coming. The wizard is trying to damage. There's a few points where he manages to get the Shantaks to do some damage to the ship, and you see that it affects Henry to some extent. However, the train isn't like losing its cohesion or anything, and Gunter continues to feed it. And you also begin to notice that the Shantaks and the wizard seem to be focusing on a certain part of the train, which you are pretty sure is where Madame Bonneval is. It's at that point that a hole opens up in Mimi, the one where the palace is, and the palace sort of opens up also like an organic thing. And Madame Bonneval comes flying out of the hole up into the air, and she's got that heart-shaped valise in her hand, and she starts screaming at the wizard, "You'll never have it. It's never meant to be given to you. You'll never have it. Forever you will chase it, and forever you will fail to get it." And she flings it. And as she flings it, the wizard on his Shantak dips down and intercepts the thing and catches it in his hand and begins to cackle with this sort of bizarre, strange noise. He tears open the valise and there's nothing inside of it, which infuriates him. She laughs, and then she says, "And now you'll know." And she takes her rather long clawed hands, which you never quite noticed before, and she rips them into her own chest and tears her rib cage open and reaches in, and what she pulls out is a gigantic ruby shaped like a heart, and it sparkles in the light, and she holds it aloft, and as she does, these bright red beams of light, much like your mirror, begin to shine out, and the wizard once again banks around and heads towards her, and you can see that wherever these beams are hitting him, he suddenly is bursting into flame, and he banks and wheels past her as she does, and she's laughing hysterically, and he manages to hit her hand. And when he does, the jewel flies out, sails across Mimi, and lands right at Dr. Roland's feet. It is still shining. And he's now banking around to try and come in your direction.
Of course, I should throw it into the Gulf, but I fear that he will intercept it if I
And it
release
did
it.
seem to be burning him.
Yeah, I will take it up, and perhaps I can even use it and the mirror together to make a larger field.
You almost don't have to. Once you've touched it and you feel it in your hands and it's kind of hot,
Yeah.
you can feel sort of an interior energy moving through you, and as it hits the stone becomes a blinding red light, and you see the wizard suddenly bursts into flame and begins to scream. Madame Bonneval also bursts into flame as you're doing this. The wizard falls off the shantak and begins to plummet, but you can see him literally turning to ashes as he's falling. As he's falling, the shantaks suddenly bank and wheel away, no longer controlled by the wizard. The cloud in the sky vanishes, and although the crone, as she is now, looks black and burned and ancient, and is also beginning to crumble, she also begins to fall into the void, and you hear her scream, "At last, I have repaid evil with fire. Hate is stronger than love. Love forgives, hate destroys. Now the lovers can rest. The evil is purged. My purpose is ended." And she plummets into the void, and the shantaks leave. The train reconstitutes itself where it was damaged, and everything is suddenly calm. The night gaunts wheel around. They bring you back to the train and set you down gently, and they come in and they relieve Gunter. And within a few minutes, everything seems to be going back to normal.
As I come back up, I'm maybe panting because that's probably the most exercise I'd gotten in a while. I'm like, is it over?
Yeah,
It is.
the two of them are together at last as they deserve in the abyss.
Henry regains his composure as this is all going back to normal. It's like he's had a migraine and he's finally come out of it, and he begins to realize everything that's going on. And he says, "We will be to the ferry bridge in just a moment." Oh, one other thing. The night gaunt brings back Guillaume and sets him upon the platform. And it's quite obvious to all of you that Guillaume no longer looks like a ghoul.
Mm-hmm.
He looks like a human being again. Even his uniform has been repaired.
Well, it is hurt after all. My friend, you are no longer in need of the abyss, perhaps. Your natural bravery has recovered you very well.
I didn't know such a thing was possible, he says, in kind of archaic French. But oui, monsieur, you have regained your humanity by bravely facing the monsters. You've also noticed that anybody who actually lost their footing and fell into the abyss was recovered by night gaunts and brought back to the ship. So the Ibians are all here, and
the cats.
And the cats are all brought back.
Okay.
And
did the ruby expend itself, or
no, the ruby is still in your hand. It's not shining at the moment, but and it feels odd.
I wonder, Henri, if this ruby can be something that is incorporated on the train that protects you in future from these aberrations.
I don't know, monsieur. And when he reaches for it, he stops and he says, this jewel, it has a tremendous amount of hatred locked into it by her creation, but it would seem that it burns evil I don't think that I can incorporate it into the train in any way.
Do you think it belongs in the abyss, or is it too great for this?
I think it's up to you, monsieur, but I wouldn't physically handle it very much.
No.
Perhaps it could be of use to us still.
We have
This
the
one
problem
wizard,
of-
this one sorcerer is dead, but there's another one in the waking world who I think will be finding out that he wasn't given a certain scroll.
Yeah, we don't know how to bring things back and forth, but perhaps I will make a special case for it in my stateroom so that it may be preserved for future use.
We have arrived, messieurs. And you realize that the train is pulling up to a little platform that just seems to hang in the air. And it has a small, very ornate, very beautiful crystal-like bridge that goes up and over the abyss itself. And there seems to be a door at the far end of it. And he's like, through that door is the waking world. You will return to your place from whence you left. And it is a tradition. You can throw your vert into the void anywhere here, but most people do it on the top of the bridge.
Makes sense. Henri will, since we will not be able to be on the train again, is there any chance we can see you again in another part of the Dreamlands?
Well, you've seen all the places that the train travels. If you are in Uther, I stop in Uther for 2 hours, so certainly it's possible. You can have cafe at the Russians' house, the Russians' tea house. Well, my friends, it's been quite a journey. Thank you for saving me.
It's been an absolute pleasure knowing you, Henry.
I hope we shall see you again. If our King Tarragon and Queen Sophie still about, or did they go back?
They're saying goodbye.
Damn kid.
Which somehow you can understand.
Yeah.
It was a good journey. It was a good but perilous journey with you, Honor. It was a pleasure, and I hope we see you again.
Congratulations to you on your good works, and may your train run for very long.
Jusha tells you that she's decided to keep trying. So she's not going to throw her talent, her dreams into the void. She's going to keep her dreams and keep going. Karakov, in tears, is thanking you that perhaps he can turn over a new leaf, though he's very old. He can do what he can, as Gabriel told him. And he thanks you all with tears in his eyes. The Ibians, they do something rather interesting. They seem to be weaving a kind of network of vines right on the edge of the bridge, and they bid you goodbye, and they climb down into the void themselves. And one of them says, as they're going, it says, no need to worry. We died a long time ago.
Okay.
Oh, my.
And they go.
Strange creatures.
What's his name? Guillaume, he's not going to throw anything. He's not going to kill himself. He's not going to throw himself. And he's going to go back and live in the dreamland. So his body is dead. Whatever his body was in the real world is dead. But now he can stay here, apparently. Make amends for the crimes that he's done. And it's sad that Mackenzie got off. Maybe someday in the future he'll complete the journey and become a poet. And so you guys walk out onto the onto the bridge. And as you leave the little platform and step onto the bridge and go, Henry waves goodbye and he steps back up onto the train. And you see Mimi turn and vault into the sky. And you see her, vanish into the distance. And now you guys are alone on the bridge with the little door.
Well, say that's an experience that we never thought we'd have and we'll never have again. I don't know about you, but letting go of my blaming myself for my father's death, I think will be a relief, and the try of the journey was what will give me the strength to release it.
Okay. Just as you get to the crest of the bridge, looking down, you can see that it's dawn. The sun is coming up in the distance. The stars are winking. The dawn bursts as like fountains of gold and carmine and purple. And are you all throwing your things in?
Yes.
Okay. And as you do that, your heart feels lighter, and you take a few steps towards the little door, and before you know it, you open up your eyes and you are lying in your beds, and you are once again on the train. Dr. Kurz, do a spot hidden. Well, you already know. The jewel has come through with you, and it's in your hand. Describe what you're doing. Are you holding it in your hand?
I find it in my hand. I wonder if.
Okay, you find it in your hand, but as you are suddenly looking at the stone in your hand, your peace suddenly seems to move away from you. You're suddenly thinking about all of the trouble that you've gone through at this point, and you can feel this sudden overwhelming hatred reaching inside you and beginning to flood your soul. What do you do?
I think it is possible that this thing is in fact the heart of the simulacrum, and I cannot get rid of it, but I must not hold it. So
you drop it on the bed.
Oh yeah, I put it on the pillow and go to a trunk and look for something to contain it.
The second it's no longer in your hand, the feeling goes completely away.
Yeah. Yeah. So I will wash the hand as well. And I would like to find in Venice, I will find something to contain it, something maybe with lead in the casing. How large is this stone?
It's not big.
Yeah, so it's large.
It's something that you could easily wrap in a handkerchief. In fact, you'll notice that if you put cloth over it, you don't feel anything. Mm-hmm. So it's like you have to have direct contact with it in order for.
But it has been steeped in hundreds of years of hatred and animosity. Very good.
So, for saving the train, you all gain 1d6 of sanity points. You saved Henry, you gain 1d4 sanity points.
Oh, nice.
And this
And,
can go. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
This can go above our starting.
Yes.
Oh, nice.
It just can't go above 99 minus your Cthulhu mythos.
Right. And as you awake on the train, and it is pulling into Venice, into the St. Lucia station at about 8:26 a.m. Venice is a very interesting city. It was once the most wealthy city on the planet. It is built on top of a number of small islands in a salt marsh. So it's got water all around it. The train station itself is quaint, but fairly new. And you can't walk everywhere. There are water taxis, there are gondoliers, there are small boats that will take you wherever you need to go in the city. So let's see, the train station is actually not really near this, but this is the main area of the city. The Piazza San Marco is where the big church is and where the Doge's palace is. It's also where the Biblioteca Marciana is. You guys have the map, so you can take a look at it. There's restaurants, there's hotels, everything that you would need. You guys are completely refreshed, and you realize that whatever it was that you gave up is literally that. It's just that, I'm over it. I'm over that part of my life that caused me such pain.
Rest a little bit easier.
What would you like to do first? Obviously, you're going to one of the hotels.
All the lovely hotels. Oh, and the food. Oh, boy.
We'll say that you pick the Hotel Royal Danieli.
Oh, this is January though. Okay, so it's not gelato time.
No, it's cold.
Yeah.
It's always gelato time. Don't lie to yourself.
That's right. Yeah.
It's always gelato. Yeah. That's
So, a little chocolate.
And what's interesting is most of the buildings in the city are rectangular. They are maybe 3, 4, 5 stories high. They're usually composed of a rectangular building around a central courtyard, so like a rectangular donut. And the front doors literally come out onto a porch with little steps going down into the water, because you would approach them from a gondolier or something like that, or a little boat that would park there and get out. There are a few sidewalks that are along the shore, but for the most part, there are alleys and contos, little squares, and it's literally a maze. It was not built with the idea of roads in mind. It was built by the waterways, so you can get easily lost in the city, going over bridges and down tunnels and around this and around that. And there's water everywhere. You also notice there is a smell. And right now it's a slightly stagnant smell. And when you ask, it's always been a problem when the tide comes in and the tide comes out. It replenishes the water, but there's not much water movement inside the city itself. So it tends to get a little stagnant, and you can smell it at times. So we'll say you're still in the train station. What would you like to do?
I mentioned, I was like going, well, according to our clues on Venice, one of the Napoleon soldiers brought a piece here, the doctor said that it could be in a museum or a private collection. Not what piece it would be, like a leg or anything, but
The Doge was very powerful for quite a long time.
There is also a document at the Basilica San Marco, if I'm not mistaken.
Is there a heavy black shirt presence here, or does this look like it's not quite swept up into that feather yet of nationalism here?
Actually, it's pretty well swept up into it. You can see them if you look in any direction. There is police. There is, as well. There's police and there's black shirts.
Okay.
It's a crowded city, so there's a lot going. I mean, there's people everywhere at this point.
After we check into the hotel, I would like to see if there is any message from Smythe at the post restaurant at the Telegraph.
Okay.
Good shout, Roland.
All right. So the Hotel Royal Danieli is just a little bit east of the Piazza de San Marco, where the church is. So you get to your hotel, you get everything checked in. All of your baggage is there. Do you check everything to make sure it's all still there?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. Okay. Yes, it is still with you.
100%.
I check my chest to see if it still has the checkerboard pattern rash.
Oh, yeah. We'll add a couple things into that, Gunter, as you are breathing in the miasma in the air. It smells particularly bad to you, and makes you cough a little bit. And Dorian, you as you're getting off of one of the water boats at the hotel, you slip a little on the pier, and you bang your left arm against a pilaster, and it's quite sore.
Careful there, Dory.
Damn it. This is getting ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah, the clumsiness and
But at this point, only Gunther has the chest problems. All right, so you stow your gear. You said you were going to go to the post office or the telegraph office.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So you find when you do your code and they retrieve your restaurant, you have two messages that have been posted. There's no dates, but you'll assume that they're in the last week or so they have been posted. The first one is this.
So he writes, lead in Salzburg, stop Baron Colloredo, archives, stop, searched but no information.
And the following one is this one.
We are trying to help, stop. Review Deutschen order documents, stop. Unclear on how to destroy statue, stop. Sedefkar scrolls hold the key, stop. Take care to go unnoticed, stop, good luck. Oy. Deutschen order is a new phrase for us. But the good news is that these are recent, so Smythe is alive and recovering and still following.
These were from Smythe. I didn't notice a Smythe name attached to that or
Well, that's the code that we use to receive telegrams. Unless he has been betrayed, compromised, yeah. I wish he would not use the word Sedefkar in the telegram. Yeah. No, what?
The Deutschen Order, and there was another city and archives named and a baron.
Salzburg.
Salzburg. That was Baron Collardo, and he wasn't able to find anything.
Yeah, it's a new name to us, though.
Mm-hmm.
And suggests also, I mean, Salzburg, Colorado is not a German name, so it's another European transient person. We seem to have a lot of movement among the people who deal with the simulacrum.
You would do an intelligence roll. You can all do it.
20. So that's
57 is the regular
Ooh,
success.
24. All of us in the 20s.
It's a hard.
Well,
If you were-
I got a 57, so no.
If you recall from reading the Blood Red Fez, which I think you read just last week, back then there was an alternative route for the Orient Express that went up through Germany. So the route still exists. It's just that most people don't take that route anymore because they can go through the Simplon Tunnel and cut out a couple of days. But it sounds like he might be, if he's in Salzburg, then he's following a different route.
But we have not seen this name before, Colorado. Is that right?
Correct.
And if we wish to change routes, would we have to go back as far as Paris or to get to
I
Salzburg?
think so. Yeah.
Pretty far back, yeah.
But he's telling you in that there's no information there.
Yeah,
So
nothing.
he said the Colorado Archives, which it sounds like a Spanish name.
Yeah. Good. So Smythe is alive and well. I'm happy to see. And we have no one else that we have no other names in town to contact. So perhaps we start with trying to find a document at Basilica.
Sounds fair.
Yes, the image of the devil, I believe, is its name. At least
And this is a large
English.
tourist area. And
Yeah. Check the museums, of course.
Oh, actually, no, this is just, so we left, the train journey took how long again?
Through the night. So you guys left at what was it? Like
1
11,
o'clock something.
almost midnight, and you've arrived at 8. in the
Okay,
morning.
all right, okay. So,
But we have the extra rest that comes from sleeping in 2 worlds at the same time.
Mm.
I was just wondering if we should look for wanted posters, but it's too soon for that. Just in case. I'm paranoid that there could be a communique, telegram, or a phone call placed.
So do you want to check the newspaper?
Always.
It's a good concern. Yeah.
You don't see any indication of anything in this morning's newspaper.
Mm.
No, even not even a reference to the opera last night and strange events.
Information might not have gotten this far that quickly. So yeah, you
Yeah.
can check
They
again
might-
the afternoon.
So we have a couple days, maybe.
Yeah, because that literally was last night or
Yeah.
yesterday afternoon.
Exactly. Yeah.
No, not even 12 hours. Yeah.
Yeah.
In a couple days, we may want to keep our eyes and ears open for that.
Yeah.
Well, if
I
you
mean,
want, I can assume that you guys, when you are in between doing things, you're checking the newspaper. So
right. Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, I figured they'll have a review of how the guards did at the opera, See
There
how
was a
they-
very large fellow who was one of the gods
Good.
who was sorely missed. His gravitas was impressive.
The supernumeraries at the opening night.
Yes.
Exquisite.
all right. So what are you going to do first now that you're here in Venice? One, you think you're probably going to do is sort of orient yourself.
Oh yeah.
Like I say, you're just within walking distance of the Palazzo de San, the Basilica of San Marco.
Mhm.
which looks like this.
January, so it's not
it-
tourist season.
Yeah, but there's still quite a lot of people.
Oh wow.
It's beautiful.
It was one of the wealthiest churches ever built. It's also the only place that there is a true what they call a piazza. So there's a large square. The Doge's palace is here. The church is here. This is all flat. There are buildings and houses all around it. It's actually kind of L-shaped, the way that it's put there. It's large. All of the other places that are little squares where people eat and drink and do stuff, those are called campos, I believe. Yeah, they're not called piazzas. All right, so you're there and you're looking around, and of course the famous pigeons and the bronze horses that were stolen from Constantinople during the Crusades, and you realize that a great deal of this wealth was stolen from Constantinople during the Crusades. Still, it's a merchant town. It's made tons and tons of money. What are you going to do first then?
So Naruto, your notes say something about the Basilica de San Marco. I forget what you are.
La Imagini de Diablo.
Diablo.
Yeah.
So
Image
there's
of
some
the
sort
devil,
of
yeah.
clue, and the Basilica I have read is full of mosaics, so many images that it is perhaps overwhelming. It might take us some time to find the right thing, but it should be interesting, and we
I'm
are
thinking of the wrong church.
I think you have it correct.
Dr. Naru, you can do an intelligence roll.
68 is a regular path.
You are thinking of the wrong church.
I'm thinking of the wrong church. Because it is in the Mary Queen of the Heavens. But what's in the city?
Let's see. Venice. No, here we go.
What city was that in?
It's Venice.
Oh, Venice. So
There's
it is in Venice.
Probably
But-
500 churches in
but-
this
but-
town.
Yeah,
So we-
So it is a church in Venice. It is not this particular church in Venice.
not this massive church. Right.
Different church. So I wanted to go stop by Mary Queen of the Heavens Church. That might have it in an archive. I think it's a document.
So what are you going to do? How are you going to find it?
I
Um,
will ask. I will
Oh, yeah.
go.
Concierge, they would know.
That's
All right, I'm the concierge. Monsieur, what? Oh, I'm going to do French now all of a sudden. I don't know what to say in Italian. In Italian, he says, "Yes, sir. What can I do for you?"
Yes, we were looking for the Mary Queen of the Heavens Church. Do you know where that is?
Santa Maria Celestia. I don't believe I've ever heard of it. He gets out a guidebook and looks through it, and he says, "No, there's no church listed in here. It must be fairly small then."
Would the smaller churches be more on the outskirts, periphery, sort of away from Marco Plaza?
There's no rhyme, no reason to our city. It could be around the corner. It could be somewhere on one of the islands.
Oh yeah, Maron.
Well,
It's hard to say.
but
I would-
somebody at, do you think somebody at the Basilica? San
Maybe,
Marco might know.
maybe.
We could check in the maybe the library or at the church library. They might have a more of a documentation of the churches around the city.
Yeah, if there's documentation, the library might have something, the bibliothèque.
Excellent.
Or ask experts on the city if you find little museums and things like that. There might be somebody who might be able to answer you.
Brilliant. So looking at the map that he has with museums and libraries and
Sure.
stuff on it, do we see a couple of the larger, more notable libraries?
Well, Marciana is right here in the piazza.
You start there.
It's huge. It's like 600,000 volumes.
Oh, that's the one right across from the Doge's palace.
Correct.
Oh yeah, that's big. Yeah, we should go there. That would be a great place to start.
The library is magnificent when you get inside.
Oh,
Quite spectacular.
I ate there. Oh my gosh. Sorry. I can see the table there.
All right. Well, much to be expected as you've run into this in other major libraries before. They're a little restrictive on your ability to go through their things. They would much rather you hire an assistant to do the work. It's suggested to you that you hire somebody from where is it? From the all you Italian speakers out there, forgive all of my mispronunciations of every Italian word in here. The Foscari University, the Foscari University. It takes you an hour or so to secure somebody, but you get a fellow named Giorgio Gasparetti, a young fellow, and he says, I can help you. So what are we looking for?
Well, we're looking for a church. It might be an older one, but it was definitely not on the list of the common tourist churches.
Okay.
Dr. Naruto, what Mary Queen
of the Heavens.
Mary Queen of the Heavens. All right. So he starts to assist you with your research. Do a spot hidden roll if you.
That is a hard.
72 is not a pass.
is a regular for me.
Those of you who passed, perhaps it's the paranoia of the previous parts of this trip, but you get that sort of feeling like there's eyes on the back of your head, like somebody's watching you.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of people in here. And as you're looking around, you don't see anybody in particular. You see a few black shirts.
How are
they
these
seem,
for fezzes in Venice? Are there many fez wearers?
it's not really as a popular a thing here as it is like in England and other places.
But black shirts, so.
Yeah, the black shirts, they make you nervous because they seem to single out foreigners. They're fascists. They don't.
So the black church are actually weaving their way through the library?
You see a few of them here and there keeping the peace.
Okay.
But you get the distinct feeling that, it's almost like somebody breathing over your shoulder. But you can shrug that off and you keep going. It takes Giorgio a little bit of time. But he finds an interesting reference to Santa Maria Celeste. He says to you, it was in the Castillo district, but it was destroyed in the Arsenal fire of 1569. The church burnt to the ground. There was a convent that was attached to it that managed to survive, and the nuns risked their lives to grab a lot of the documents that were there and save them. So
and Giorgio, if this convent still exists, do you think they might have artifacts? And what is the protocol for approaching such a cloister for scholarly reasons?
I think if you just present your necessity, I don't exactly know what your need is. What is it that you're looking for?
I'm a scholar of theology, based in a university in the United States, and I'm on sabbatical right now accumulating.
Well, I'd say your best approach is just to ask. My guess is, they might have a basement full of documents from the church.
Yes. Oh, well, very good, Georgia. Thank you for your assistance.
He gives you an indicator on the map of where the district is and the general location of where that would be. The maps are not so perfect, but it would have been in this area. And he says it should take you maybe half an hour to 45 minutes to walk there. You will have to take at least one water taxi to get there.
And when we are in the neighborhood, I think it should not be so hard to ask where the convent is. Should we ask gentlemen for Giorgio to look for any reference to Sedefkar?
Maybe to maybe not for the Sedefkar, but maybe for I'm trying to think how to word it. As soldiers brought part of the statue here, but
well, Napoleonic era French soldier. There's gonna be, I don't know.
I mean, there's nothing like shortage of plunder from Napoleon. There's an infinite number of things Napoleon's soldiers take and carry.
Maybe linked with Napoleonic plunder, but that might be related to mysterious, unusual, odd stories, because it seems like wherever these parts go, very bizarre things and stories circulate around it. That could help us maybe narrow it a little bit, as opposed to here's 50 Roman coins they discovered and that was it.
But I mean, I don't know what you would even have them look for. An unusual abundance of left leg injuries, like these, whatever manifests.
You're talking about this in front of him?
We're sort of,
I think we were having an aside, but
yeah.
Okay.
But I think, the question is, do we trust Giorgio enough to mention the word Sedefkar? Because that is the shibboleth that.
I think if you were to form an opinion, the guy looks like he's a university student, so he might not have lived long enough to run across such things as ancient magic. It would just be a word to him.
Right. So
let's.
But I don't know where I'd have him look. One thing he could look for, I guess, are there like old like hospital or medical records, some kind of.
My friend Rudy, you are making this very complicated. we shall go to find the convent and talk to the nuns. Young man Giorgio, anything you can find on the records with this word, Stedefkar,
He writes down.
is
Or
of
the
interest to us.
You said Napoleonic?
That's the
Napoleonic
that's the proper era, yeah.
But the
statue.
Stefkar won't be of that age, but that was the last time that it was seen, was in the Napoleonic age.
And there could be physical artifacts or also documentation.
Yeah.
He says, it seems to me that a great deal of spoils were brought here and some taken away in that period, especially by Napoleon and his army. I can see there's probably not a list. If there is a list, it's huge of things. Not sure that most of it would be documented, but I can take a look. I can see what I can find at that time.
Grazie.
Yes. Mm. Mm. It's a shame they're not as bureaucratic as us Germans on documenting everything.
Is there anything else, gentlemen, that you'd like me to keep an eye out for? This could take some time.
Yeah, we expect it will be a little bit of a search for you.
I'll-
There's a, go on, please, Thursby.
Oh, I was just gonna offer, like, giving him like a incentive little bonus.
Yeah, we'll say that you guys have worked out your price.
Yeah.
And a nice one, not skimping.
Right.
Sure, we engender a feeling of appreciation.
All right. So now what are you going to do?
Try to find this convent. Nothing like talking to a nun on a January morning.
Okay. So you start heading out. You at first it's fairly easy to travel because you can tell the gondolier or the taxi, the water taxi fellow, you want to go to the Castello district. But then things become a little bit more difficult, and the reason why is because this damn city is laid out like a gigantic maze. And in fact, in each district, they number the buildings like 1 to 6,000, and they don't seem to go in order or in a particular direction. And as you begin to ask questions, you realize that you are kind of the butt of a joke. And the butt is, every time you ask directions, they'll tell you, go this direction, just keep going straight. And it seems to be a joke because there's no way to just go straight. There's 100 twists and turns along the direction, and you find yourself very quickly lost. But you find that you are slowly gaining ground. And eventually you get to, you turn a corner thinking that, okay, it has to be here. But what is there instead is a nautical mechanics school that seems to be at the address of the convent.
Looking at maybe the architecture of it, because I assume like this building was repurposed by the nautical school. Is there like some religious iconography still left over on the building?
Yeah, definitely. It looks like it was originally possibly a convent. The church no longer is there. It's now a completely different set of buildings. But yeah, this one definitely looks like it's old enough, but it has been repurposed into a naval mechanical school.
Hmm.
no nuns.
Well, I suppose we can still go in and ask about
Doesn't
All right.
hurt.
what became of the convent.
Yes.
I mean,
All right. So you go in, and in fact, it's a very professional looking school. There are classes currently going on, but you get somebody in administration to come out and says, "Yes, can I help you? Is there something you need?"
good afternoon. I am a doctor of theology from Miskatonic University, and I've been traveling Europe doing some religious research on sabbatical. I was made to be aware that this building used to be a convent, and I was hoping that would still be the case. I'm looking for old.
That might
church
explain a
records.
few things about the architecture of it, but yeah, I wasn't aware of that. You're looking for old documents. I mean, we have a lot of records down in the basement, but I think they're all naval records and things like that.
Would it be too much of a bother to go look at the records or the rooms? Perhaps there is
I don't have a problem
trace
with
of
that. What are you imagining that that there would be church records?
Or
Yes, the convent rescued a number of artifacts and documents from a church that burned in the Arsenal fire of 1569. We were hoping that those would still be extant.
Do a luck roll.
43 is a pass.
He says, well, I have no problem with that. The records that we have down there are pretty much, not very useful any longer. There's nothing rare or, important. You're welcome to look for it. My guess would be is that if when the convent went out of was disbanded, they probably transferred all those documents to the Bibliothèque Marcion, but if they did anything at all with them.
yeah.
Senior, how long has this school been on the premises?
Oh, maybe 50 years.
So there have been many before you who have run the institution.
Yeah, I was not aware though that it was a convent before that, but like I say, I mean, the architecture in Venice is all over the place.
And in addition to documentation that is naval and in the cellar, is there art that exists still from before the school?
No, there's some a few pieces of naval art, but not very much. It's kind of Spartan. I mean, if you want to look, you can look.
Yes, thank you so much, Senor. All right.
So do you want him to show you where the records are?
Yes.
Okay. So he takes you down some stairs, some rather narrow stairs. The whole thing reeks kind of convent. Everything is tiny and cramped and not made for comfort. There's basically, wall-to-wall filing cabinets and boxes of documents and things like that. Go ahead and roll a 1d4.
2.
Okay, for 2 hours, you search through all of this stuff and you can't find anything that's not naval related. You're pretty sure it's not here.
Is there any? There's no indication of. I don't know. I don't even know how you would locate but a false wall or somewhere where somebody might have hidden something. So
Was there any thing in the documents like I don't know if they had it back then, like a workman's comp kind of thing. Like, has there been some unexplained injuries, consistent injuries at this place?
You don't find any indicator of any kind of injuries other than, maybe a few normal sort of things, but
Things you would expect, but no, like,
what you find mostly here is you find architectural blueprints. Well, I mean, not architectural, but like naval vessel blueprints and, what seem like shipping dock stuff, and some of it going back a long ways, but it's all boring and mundane and unimportant.
Now, I suppose also we should think, thanking the gentleman, I assume, and going onto the street. Yeah, I assume we
Okay.
are done.
yeah.
I wonder if we should also consider where the church that burnt was. In a place like this city where surface area is so vital and nothing is left fallow, what did they replace the church with? Or do we go back to the
I
library?
mean,
and-
it's just that we were told by
They were right next to each other.
Georgia.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would have been attached, the old church.
Yeah, it's literally right in front of you, but it's no longer, it's just some other building.
Well, we're not too far from the library. We could see what Giorgio has dug up in the last 3 hours.
You're probably getting hungry at this point too.
Oh yeah.
We could get lunch on the way back to the library to check in with those.
We should definitely eat. Definitely.
Sounds lovely.
Now, they have predominantly Italian food here, but
Huh.
you kind of guessed that.
Yeah.
But there's also a couple of places by the hotel that have Germanic names. I was curious about this restaurant, Pils.
Mm.
We haven't experienced much of Northern Europe for a little while. So if no one objects, perhaps we go to this Pils place.
Oh, the restaurant Pilsen.
Yeah.
Hopefully they have a good Pilsner. Yes.
They probably have superior beer there but the Italians make wine, not beer. So
The wine around here is not, the beer is not so good, so some actual Pilsner might be good.
I think we should have nothing but audible praise for Italian things, though, when we're here. Dude,
Oh.
they need-
Oh,
I mean,
really
Italian wine is fantastical.
exactly the best Italians. Italians know how to do things here.
All right.
No, the wine is fantastic.
So it's going to take you about 45 minutes once again to get back
Mhm.
where you were. Once again, a few more water taxis. You notice that the gondolas are a little more touristy, a little more, people going on romantic, things. The gondolas are large, black. They've got that strange sort of key thing on the front, and they're also asymmetrical. They're not perfectly symmetrical, so that the gondolier can stand on the back on one side and use a pole, and the shape of the gondolier compensates for the one-sided pushing as it goes along. The water taxis are motorized, obviously. And so the din of that water taxis when you're near the water is there. You notice once again as you approach the water, as you're right on top of the water, it's got a nasty smell. You notice there's a bit of a little bit of what looks like an oil slick that's on the water. At least occasionally you see that, and you wonder where the sewage goes. It might just get dumped into the ocean. It's not too pleasant. You get back to the little restaurant, and indeed it's German food. It's got some Italian stuff influence to it, but you sit down, you have a nice meal.
Spätzle.
Sehr gut.
So as you are sitting there eating, looking around, it's a cafe.
Have we been followed at all?
Well, black shirts kind of all look the same. I mean, the people themselves don't look the same, but you're not really paying attention to the black shirts. You do see black shirts here and there, and they do glance in your direction, especially more so now that you're eating in a foreign restaurant. They look at you with suspicion.
We should have eaten at an Italian restaurant.
We can speak Italian, so we could.
Oh, yeah. Let's kick up a nice Italian conversation.
Me and you start speaking Italian quite loud, not loudly.
I would like you both to do Italian.
Italians know how to cook German food. I'm telling you. Right there. Ooh, look at that. I succeeded.
I also did. I got dead on my feet.
Yeah.
So your Italian sounds good enough that they don't think they're not Italian.
Huh.
Everybody roll spot hidden again, and we're trying to see who gets the best roll.
97 is not a good roll.
91,
75.
also bad.
61 is a pass right on the dot.
And I've got a 51 out of 55. So that's a success by a few points.
Okay. So I'd say it's a tie between Dr. Neruda and Dr. Gabriel and Dr. Not Doctor, Theodore. But we'll say, since he mentioned it earlier, we'll say Theodore. You look over at a newspaper. It's the afternoon edition. And you do notice something right on the top of it as you reach for it.
God.
There are two articles.
Oh, dear. Unionists attempt to disrupt opera. Oh, thank goodness. It's those damn unionists. All of Milan continues to worry about its missing diva, even as the opening night of Aida went on as planned. It is now believed that seditionists gained access to the backstage area of La Scala in an attempt to disrupt the entertainment. A number of personal guards were critically wounded in a gunfight, but managed to drive off the unionist rebels. They were, however, unsuccessful in causing any disruption to the opera itself, though a number of valuable props were either damaged or stolen from the property. The police are still on the lookout for these criminals and will keep the public informed. Milanese man murdered. Police revealed this morning that prominent Milan businessman Arturo Fascia was last night the victim of a bestial slaying in a seemingly isolated incident. He had been at La Scala with friends for the opening night of Aida and had gone backstage to congratulate performers when he became separated from his companions. His badly mutilated body was discovered late yesterday by maintenance workmen on the roof of Il Duomo. An official at the cathedral stated, "It's impossible for anyone to get up there at night. This is the devil's work." Milan police would not describe the wounds sustained, repeating merely that they seem the work of a deranged lunatic. Residents of the city are warned to exercise caution at night. Signor Fazio was a widower without children and devoted much of his time as a patron of the arts. He had recently returned from a business trip to Turkey. Those damn I'm telling you, those unionists.
Yeah, that's what you say out loud in Italian. So I saw Faccia go into an alley. I heard a terrifying scream. I found nothing but blood there. And somehow his damaged body ended up atop Il Duomo.
How close were you to it when you saw that body? When you saw that happen to him? Or you heard that happen to him?
I was
like
down the
30 feet,
street
yeah.
and I
Oh, you were
ran
right
in.
there.
Yeah, he had vanished. It was impossible. So I wonder now if he was taken up vertically by some creature.
Yeah, at this point, some creature is a good guess.
And I wonder also what what conditions they found him in that the newspaper describes as with such avoidance.
Yeah. That's just
There was a lot of blood in the alley, so I don't know if he was crushed and then moved. Why did the body show up on the wall?
Huh.
that is bizarre.
It is also worth noting that he had been in Turkey, which is, of course, where we expect to close this, if we should be so fortunate.
Hmm.
And they have no idea still about the poor diva. I hope she and
That is-
Dr. York have made their way to Paris by now.
Yeah, they should be getting there about now.
Did we ask Dr. York to send us a telegram ahead so that we would know how things went?
I think
You
I
tell
thought
me.
we had.
All right. Yeah.
He was missed on the train, and the dream train, after all.
He was. Although on the real world train, having the cabin to myself was quite nice.
I bet it was, Gunther.
Oh, yes. Bottom bunk.
Okay, so if the sense of being followed, being surveilled, is that ongoing?
I mean, it really feels like it might be your imagination and your
Yeah.
paranoia.
Jumping and fly.
As long as I don't see the same face in different places.
No, you don't.
So should we visit Giorgio?
well, that's a good idea after lunch.
Yes, indeed. We must do that. It is important.
All right. So you head back over to Biblioteca Marciana, and you find Giorgio. He's busy looking through things. He says, well, gentlemen, there is a great deal of things that were brought into the city, both by, it was like the spoils of war or things from all over the world with Napoleon. So unless I have something specific I'm looking for, you mentioned this word. I've found no reference anywhere to this word.
Maybe could you narrow it to like a human-sized statue pieces,
Statue.
parts, something like that?
Yeah, it's a
mean,
statue.
That doesn't help much because the city is filled with statues.
But
Statues.
perhaps there's something else you could look for. An old Latin document. The Imagini del
Image of the
Diablo.
devil.
Yes.
Imagine he doesn't say that like he knows what you're talking about. He's interpreting what you're
Yeah.
saying.
Mhm.
I've never heard of it. What do you know the day and age, the time, the what sort of document?
It would have been. It's old. Around. Is how much do our characters know about this stuff? I'm trying to like the crew.
Yeah, I can't remember.
I mean, it was 1500s, or at least that was when the church was burned.
1596 was it?
So the Crusades.
That was when the church.
Yeah.
What church? You say?
Mary, Queen of the Heavens.
So it would have been a book that they had.
They had so the church had it. The church Mary, Queen of the Heavens had it. The church burned in a fire, arsenal fire, 1569, and that was transferred to a convent that was attached to it, or at least the convent. The nuns saved records, but the convent has since dissolved. It's now a nautical mechanics school, as we unfortunately discovered, but they don't know where
I see.
any of the old convent records were transferred. They said they might have been transferred to this library.
That gives me something to go on. I will see what I can find. There are a great many documents here that are not cataloged. So I can start a search. But it'll probably be tomorrow, maybe the next day that I find such a thing.
So
Oh,
that's fine.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
And I'll give him a little bit extra, to, make sure you have make sure you eat.
Yeah, we have a price. Yeah,
Every
Yeah.
every time
keep
Theodore
giving-
sees it.
Mhm.
Thank you, Susan. All right. So what next? It's now getting, it's late afternoon.
Is there like museum around here?
Museums
I mean,
everywhere. Yeah.
Museums everywhere. Okay, yeah.
I think the Basilica de San Marco itself is one of the most complicated, interesting art.
Spectacular. Yeah.
Yeah, the mosaics themselves.
So is the Doge's palace.
Oh yeah, right.
Right there.
We have
Ah,
time to look around and be marvel and experience marvels.
Do you want to go from the restaurant directly there? Or do you want to get cleaned up? And these things are all right within walking
Okay.
distance. Of
we might
I'm getting cleaned up. Yeah.
All right. So you go up to your rooms, and when you get there, Gunter and Dorian, you will go to your rooms. Gunter and Dorian, you suddenly you hear those two just suddenly yelp as they go into their rooms. Gunter, what you see in your room is your trunk has been broken into and the torso is missing. Dorian, what you see in your room is the torso and the arm have been removed from your trunk and laid on the bed in a manner that would be like semi-articulated. The arm is in its place. It's not attached, but it's laying next to it.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I walk up to it. I want to.
What the rest of you hear them
Cautious.
yelp.
Yeah, and I'm gonna come out of my room, go and knock on like whoever's door is closest to me.
Yeah.
We'll say Thursby's.
Yeah, Gunther, what's going on?
My room, my trunk has been opened and it's gone.
Oh my God. So I'll go in there and start looking to see if there's any signs of break-in.
Yeah. Is the door latch broken? Was the lock intact?
The door latch and the lock are intact. The windows are
And-
closed.
Nothing seems forced.
Nothing seems to have been forced. You also
And you-
find, of course, Dorian, but by this time,
I heard Dabrowski also cry, yeah. Dorian, have you been robbed?
Not exactly. Stay back. Come to the doorway, but stay back.
now I forget, how was your trunk secured? Was there a big padlock? Was there a chain?
There
No,
was a
not-
padlock for both padlock and
Okay.
chain for mine.
Mine would have just been locked because, yeah,
Just
I
the
didn't
lock
want-
that's on the thing?
yeah, I didn't
All
want to
right.
draw attention to it.
You do notice that the lock on yours, Gunter, has been broken. And Dorian, you find that the padlock and the chain have been broken.
no sense at all.
In fact, one of the links in the chain is actually bent wide open.
As I said, I get closer to the articulate form on the bed, and I'm not touching it yet. I'm just observing it a bit more. I know looking into it, it sends fuzzy and stuff like that, but eventually I might give it a little poke to see if there's a reaction to me poking it.
It feels the same way as it always did. Of course, at this point, the light from outside, the afternoon sunlight coming in, has turned it all white. But they're both the same color. They're both white.
I assume it's on the bed as if it is articulated as if it was where a human would be. So
Well, yeah, sort of, but not quite. It's just they've been laid next to one another in such a way that the arm would go here and the body would go there. But it's still just kind of in the middle of the bed.
I look around the room, see if there's a note or anything. I might even look under the actual
Nothing.
things. What is going on?
Huh.
Are we still just at the door?
Anyone who's
Well,
at the door.
you can all see it now. What's going on?
I do not understand.
Was it cut with like bolt cutters, or was it somehow ripped apart? Does it look like a sharp snip, or?
I would say, Theodore, when you're looking at it, asking that question, it almost looks like it was bent open
Oh my God! What on earth?
Yeah.
and the lock busted.
But
The
it makes no
pieces-
sense.
Thick
The pieces
metal.
wish to be together. They opened the chains themselves. They
Quite
broke the
possibly.
lock.
Yeah, if we collect more, I'm fearing this thing's going to
So-
overpower us.
Are they just next to each other, or are they actually connected?
They're just next to each other. They're not connected.
What if this sounds ridiculous, but what if we try to connect the two parts right now?
I would rather
see
get
what
the
happens.
documentation about how to destroy the thing before we experiment with such powers.
But I have a feeling if, let's go on the theory that they are trying to be close to each other. Let's ignore the fact that someone could have broken in or whatever and done this. Let's go with a theory that they brought themselves together.
Yeah.
They're gonna keep doing it.
Did Dr. Kurz let us all know about what you woke up with?
Oh, I don't know that it has come up. Yeah. It's
Um,
true in my room I have the ruby heart.
Is that still there? Or is that embedded in the chest now?
We'll go and see.
It is still there.
Maybe we definitely
Well-
keep the torso and the arm together, like legitimately together. Don't separate.
We will close on this with one final mystery, and that's how did the torso get from the one room to the other when the doors were locked and the windows are closed?
Uh-huh.
And that's where we will end it for tonight. Our players included Morgan Llewellyn, David Gasaway, Stuart Lively, Keith Craig, and Josh Harwood, with yours truly as the Keeper of the Secrets. We have a Discord server where you can chat with our other members, you can set up private games, and you can learn the finer arts of gameplay and game mastering. We provide audio-only versions of our shows free for you to download from Podbean or iTunes. If you'd like to help support our show, please visit our Patreon account. Just $1 a month helps us a lot. Like, share, and subscribe to our channel, and punch the bell icon for updates on our latest shows, and leave us some comments. We enjoy reading them and answer any questions you might have. This is Tom Rayleigh, together with all the members of our gaming club, inviting you to journey with us once again into the darkness for another adventure into the universe of H.P. Lovecraft and the Call of Cthulhu role-playing game. Until next time, good luck and good gaming.
Thank you.